hear me out. What if oops isn't the problem with Legacy? Hello Miners and welcome back. So in honor of the fact that Wizards said no changes to Legacy, we are going to jam the most hated deck in the format in the form of Oops All Spells. For science, based off of what Watsy has said, this deck does not have problematic win rates or problematic win patterns. It is on their radar due to the community sentiment, but they feel with the current data, it doesn't deserve any kind of action. So I've kind of been saying that in the past, where I don't think this deck is necessarily problematic for the meta. Yes, the play pattern is toxic. It's not fun from either side of the table. But in terms of power level, I do think it's fine with Legacy. It is interactable. The Memories Journey package does help give it some resiliency, and if they were to ban something out of this deck to be able to knock it down a peg, I think Memories Journey is what you hit, just to not nuke it out of the format entirely, but just to knock down some of the resiliency that Memories Journey allows to be able to go again if your opponent has a single piece of graveyard hate. But there's not really a lot to say about this deck. It's a known entity. It's preying on the fact that MDFCs do not count as lands in your deck to be able to flip your entire deck into your graveyard with Balustrade Spy or Undercity Informer, get back some Narcomoebas, and then Dread Return back Thassa's Oracle with an empty library. The last time I played this deck, I was on the version that had two combos where the Juke was to board into the Goblin Charbelcher combo. So this time I wanted to do something different, and I found a list that had the Creature Juke instead. So the entire sideboard is just a ton of aggressive, low-costed creatures, and the plan is just bring all of your creatures in, take your graveyard combo out, and trick your opponent into taking out all of their removal and beat them down with these undercosted huge threats when they're anticipating trying to shut your graveyard off and you just don't care about it anymore. So let's take this through a league, see how it does, see if my hypothesis that win rate wise, this deck is not a problem, it can be interacted with, and the meta is evolving to deal with it. So let's see how many opponents we can trigger with the most toxic deck in Legacy, and I will catch you all in the wrap up. Play any of the decks you see on this channel with a Mana Traders rental subscription. With a variety of tiers to fit any budget, Mana Traders lets you play whatever you want in whatever format you want. Use code DasSourKraut at checkout and become a better player today. Alright, let's go. Lost the die roll, but we have a protected turn one. We just jam. Let's go. Don't Thoughtseize me, opponent. Alright, opponent kept on 6. Misty, a Rainforest, and a Quick Crack. Into an island. And a Tamiyo. Okay. I mean, like, a Daze or something is annoying, but I have the mana to go again next turn, and if I draw a Lotus Petal, then I have all the mana to be able to go off and everything this turn. Okay, another Undercity Informer. So we theoretically have a way to try to pop off again next turn. We are going to see if they counter this Dark Ritual. We can pay for a Daze, but then we can't go off this turn. This would be a past the turn line. Because if they try to do this, we pay with Simian Spirit Guide, Thoughtseize, Cabal Ritual, play Undercity Informer, hope that it makes it around the table. If they just Force of Will this, we have a problem. Alright, there is a Daze. We will pay with the Simian Spirit Guide, and we will see what they have over there to determine if we just want to run out the Undercity Informer and pass. Because this only gets us +1 mana, so it's still only 4 mana total. So we are going to Thoughtseize, see what's going on over there. Thoughtseize, Ponder, Island, Force of Will. Or, wow. Ponder, Thoughtseize, Island, Verdant Catacombs. I don't think we care about the Thoughtseize, because we're just going to try to go past the turn and hope for the best. So we will take the Ponder. We will Cabal Ritual. And then we will run out Undercity Informer and pass the turn. Hopefully dodge a Wasteland or a counterspell. A removal spell would also be problematic if they just happen to hit a Fatal Push. Verdant Catacombs, cracks it super fast. Underground Sea into the Thoughtseize. Do not care about that. Getting in with the Tamiyo, that's fine. A Daze is mildly problematic, but not the end of the world here. So we're going to get to untap. We hit another land anyways, so we are going to go ahead and play this out. Just for the sake of being efficient here, we are going to get in and get our damage just in case this somehow goes sideways and we have to try to do a, like, get a bunch of Poxwalkers into play and try to beat them down that way. Like, I'm pretty sure we got this wrapped up here. But I want to have this mana up just in case we need to Memory's Journey. Flip our whole deck into the graveyard. We will always yield to an Archamoeba. And they might just be taking a look at our deck and then scooping here. I'm not sure. They'd have to have like a main deck Surgical or Fairy Macabre or something to be able to stop this. Because even if they have Daze, we can pay for that. We know one of their cards in hand is an island, so they can't possibly have Force of Will blue card. Like I said, they're probably just trying to see what we got here. That being said, what we see here, this could be Dimir Reanimator. This could just be Dimir Tempo. Everything we saw is in both decks, so this doesn't really tell us which plan it's realistically going to be. That said, our sideboard plan isn't really to mess with our opponent. Okay, they scoop it up after that. So our sideboard plan really doesn't care what our opponent's doing. And I think they're going to be bringing in a ton of interaction in the form of counter magic and graveyard hate. So we're just going to pull the full juke here. We're going to bring all of the creatures in and we just completely remove the combo. This might be excessive and might not be the correct way to do this, but it's the way that I'm going to play it as far as juking goes if we take down game one. So just take the entire combo out so all of their graveyard hate is basically just dead and swap into the creature beatdown plan and try that. Alright, what do we have here? We have Unstoppable Slashertron, basically. We've got a turn 2 Unstoppable Slasher, turn 1 Unmask. If we hit any kind of fast mana, we have a turn 1 Unstoppable Slasher. I think we're going to try to keep this one here. The creature hands are a little more weird as far as mulligans and keeping. This hand also just is completely not caring about graveyard hate whatsoever, other than it stops the recursion of Unstoppable Slasher. Blue to Delta from the opponent. Okay. So like I said, if we get fast mana, we can go ahead and try to unmask into an Unstoppable Slasher. Into a Thoughtseize. I think we're just gonna start off with that. Casually Lava Axe ourselves in the face here. And this will also show us, okay, so it is Reanimator. Got it. So I'm surprised they kept creature removal in. I think we want to take their Reanimate just so if they can strip something from our hand, they can't reanimate it. We could take Ponder, but we also could just go ahead and unmask and grab the Ponder as well, but I think we're going to take the Reanimate for right now. I'd rather save this unmask to try to strip some counter magic out of their hand. If they just want to spend the turn pondering and wastelanding or land, I'm kind of okay with that. And opponent gets a Undercity Sewers. Are they going to randomly surveil into a fatty? They've been to Ponder. Okay. This Fairy Macabre is going to essentially be dead, so I'm glad that we did strand a card in their hand. This is going to be the Ponder. See what they do here. Like I said, they could wasteland this, but the deck's about half mana, so I'm not super concerned about that. And they did not shuffle. They did play the wasteland, taking out my land. That's okay. We have more of those. Barrogoyf. Okay, I like that a lot. We will play Bogger Bog. Pass the turn. Again, we are fast mana away from... Well, hell, we're even just like a normal land away from this Cabal Ritual now to be able to send out either Unstoppable Slasher or Barrogoyf. I think we're going to Barrogoyf. And I like that they keep fetching stuff here. Is this just going to be a Murktide Regent? No. Dauthi Voidwalker. Okay. If we can get down this Barrogoyf, we can race a Voidwalker, and I don't really care. However, that is a way to turn on their Fatal Push, but then they're down cards too. So I think we're going to go ahead and unmask, pitching one of our Unstoppable Slashers, make sure they don't have counter magic. Fatal Push, Fairy Macabre, and Tamiyo. Well, we get rid of the removal spell. And then we will Cabal Ritual out a Barrogoyf, which can easily race this Dothy Voidwalker. However, it does feed the Voidwalker if we decide to use the ability, which we honestly might just say no. And we might just stick with this being a 3-4 for a while. I'm a little concerned about them potentially getting a Murktide region if they still have those in their deck. But that is a problem we will address if it pops up. But right now, they've got a Tamiyo. That is a source of card draw, but it's a very mana-intensive form of card draw. They might also just block it, or block with it against the Barrogoyf to preserve their life total. But I don't really care about that. They also can Fairy Macabre in an attempt to... Yeah, they've got an Unmask and a Cabal Ritual under there at the moment. Neither one of those really matter that much. Another Simian Spirit Guide, okay. Well, we will get in... I was going to say, they could try to get cheeky and, like, Fairy Macabre some unique types out of the graveyard to try to shrink our Barrogoyf. And they're just going to take it. I'm okay with that. I am going to say no to this ability. I do not want to risk feeding them creatures. And again, we are one mana source away from being able to just, like, rip an Unstoppable Slasher. And then that's another problem they're just going to have to figure out a way to deal with. Okay, they have an Entomb. Do they have the Reanimate to go with it is the question. Is there one unknown in hand Reanimate? And it looks like it is. Oh, those were some rips from the opponent. Okay, I guess we'll see what they got here. We're probably going to scoop it up and go to the next one. Voidwalker, Spellbomb, Force of Will. Yeah, we're just going to go to the next game here. The two most miserable decks of the format facing each other. So I will say that is a downside of trying to do this version is, like, this plan is kind of slow. I think we're actually going to probably try to, like, 50-50 split this. And I've done it a few times like this where I bring in half of the combo, or I board out half the combo, bring in half of the creatures. And then if I want to get rid of one thing, I'd probably get rid of one Cabal Ritual here. It's a little weird taking mana out, but I think this is a good split here because we have some annoying threats for them to deal with, and this shuts down the graveyard, and we still have the oops I win button here, so let's try something like this. One thing to notice, this is a 61 card deck. This was the highest ranking deck list I could find that had the creature juke in it. The last time I played this deck, I played the Goblin Charbelcher juke, so I wanted to try something a little different this time, but let's try that. Alright, let's see if we can get game 3 here. Thoughtseize, a bunch of mana, no payoffs. We need to mulligan that. Okay, I don't hate this at all. I need one more mana to be able to go off here. Or, if I want to get real cheeky here, I could Thoughtseize my own Balustrade Spy and try to reanimate it. I think we're going to keep this. Let's put back one Balustrade Spy. Call it good there. See what our opponent does. See how far they mulligan. Because we might be able to luck out and, like, Thoughtseize their big fatty, reanimate it. Or, like I said, we could get really cheeky here and try to Thoughtseize our own Spy and reanimate it. But I think we're going to just go for the Thoughtseize line here and just Thoughtseize our opponent to start. See what they got going on over there. We will Thoughtseize you. Voidwalker, Spellbomb, Fatal Push, Reanimate. So we have to take the Spellbomb here. And then we just try to go for it next turn. And do what I said about trying to Thoughtseize our own Balustrade Spy and hope that they don't find something relevant. There's Polluted Delta. Passing the turn. So we know they can't have Force of Will blue card. They could have found a Daze. They could have found some other form of... we could also just run out a Barrogoyf and see if that works. I think we're just gonna go for the fun line here. Like, I think we need to try to make this work. It appears... Oh yeah, I can't because I Thoughtseize the other one. Okay, we're just gonna run out the Barrogoyf. They can Fatal Push that, unfortunately. But then I can reanimate it. And they can't get it under a Voidwalker before it goes to the graveyard. Oh, they're going to Entomb, which means they Entomb Reanimate. We'll see if they're willing to block with the Atraxa, but they can Fatal Push this still. Ugh, yeah, no. I should have just gone for it on my turn. But it is what it is, unfortunately. I don't think there is a world where we get back into this. Yeah, especially with a Force of Will. Yeah. We should have just gone for turn 1 and done the cheeky line, but I was trying to play it safe. But, it is what it is. On to the next one. Alright, round 2, won the die roll. This would be great if we had a spy effect. We could trust that we find one and just rip our opponent's hand apart, but that's not what this deck is trying to do game 1. This has no mana. Otherwise, if it did, we could kind of do the cheeky self-discard thing here. And we'll mulligan again. Again, a ton of mana, no payoff. We'll mulligan again, go to 4. If we had black mana, this would be fantastic. I think we gotta try to go one more. Well, I guess we keep this and hope for the best. Put back Bridge from Below, Narcomoeba, Poxwalkers, and probably one Fell the Profane. Had to mulligan basically to Oblivion. We will play this. We'll just casually Lightning Axe ourselves. See what our opponent's working with over there. Prop Raw, Exploration, yeah. I mean, we'll take the Exploration for now, but we're probably just dead. Like, they Ghost Quarter us, we have no mana. Ooh, rough start to the league here. Yep, there's Ghost Quarter. They Ghost Quarter us. Can't use this ability anyways. And they have Crop Rot to be able to get, whatchamacallit, Bojuka Bog, if they decide to do that. There's something to be said about maybe taking the Bojuka Bog, but I wanted to try to restrict them from going too crazy here. Well, there's an Expedition map, so there's still a shot at this point. If they ever tap down on stuff to do, we have a shot. So we'll just have to pass the turn here. If they tap down to Life from the Loam, if we draw a Spy effect, we can go off when they have no green mana available. But they're probably not going to tap, or, yeah, ever tap out of, maybe? They're using their crop rotation now. Are they just going to grab another Wasteland? Yep, grabbing a Wasteland. Yep. Okay. Well, the nice part is that the Crop Rot is gone. We can play out Lotus Petal. Pass the turn. So against this deck, there's not a huge point in trying to bring in the creature package. We might bring in the Dothy Voidwalkers just to screw with their Life from the Loam lines. That's me in stage. Alright, so this is our shot. If we can hit a Spy effect, we can win. And they grab a Wasteland. I'm surprised they didn't go for a Dark Depths there. But they probably have main deck Soul Guide Lantern. If we hit a Spy effect, we can win. That is an Unmask. Okay. I'm assuming this is for a Soul Guide Lantern. If I had to take a guess. No, Grafdigger's Cage. I don't think we can win through that. Yeah, we'll just go to the next one. They just had a pretty much perfect opening hand. I mean, I guess it makes sense that they'd have main deck Grafdigger's Cage in the way that the current meta is, but you don't see this very often anymore. We will bring in the Dothy Voidwalkers, and I think to compensate for that, we don't really need a ton of discard. Like, they're not going to have counter magic, so I think we can take out the Unmasks. Bring in the Voidwalkers to shut down their Life from the Loam lines. I'm kind of tempted to just take all of the discard out, but we do have to worry about crop rotation. Yeah, I think we try that. Let's try that. Okay, let's not mulligan to Oblivion this time. We got a turn 1 Dothy Voidwalker, but it blows all of our mana and we have no follow-up. I think we gotta go to 6. Again, not really anything we can do here. We could save up our mana and try to go off all in one turn. I think we'll go to 5. Okay, this is a turn 1 with protection. Well, no, it's not protected. Because we've got to get rid of something here. We got to put 2 cards back. So we always put Poxwalkers back. Do we just go for the turn 1 without protection is the question. Because this does give us the mana to be able to, whatchamacallit, Memory's Journey. If we get rid of the Thoughtseize here, because this is 5 mana total to be able to get down a Spy and hold mana up to be able to Memory's Journey. I think we keep this. And we hope that they don't have Leyline. So we put back Poxwalkers and Thoughtseize. Okay, they did have a Leyline. Lay out Lotus Petal. Play out Fell the Profane. Cast Dark Ritual. Cast our Spy. Target ourselves. And then if they have Endurance or Fairy Macabre, this does allow us to, whatchamacallit here. It looks like they're just F6 though. Okay. Yeah, they just didn't have it. We got a turn 1 there. Got to do it again in game 3. They just kept a hand that didn't have any interaction, apparently. Do I want to change anything up, or do I want to keep doing what I'm doing? We could try to bring in the Rotting Regisaurs and just take out all of the discard and hope for the best. But I think we might just want to run it back. Yeah, let's run it back. We have 2 lands, a Thoughtseize. We've got a bunch of stuff in hand that we don't want here. This is still turn 1 Thoughtseize into turn 2 Voidwalker doing a ton of damage. I think we can do better than this. I don't like having 2 Poxwalkers in hand, but we do have a turn 1 Poxwalkers if we think that's the answer, or we can try to play it safe and work our way up to going off. Opponent kept on 7 again. This is 1 mana source away from just trying to go for it if we decide to do that, but I don't like having the Poxwalkers here. I think we're going to mulligan one more time. Okay, yeah, I guess we'll keep this, and we will put back 2 Fell the Profanes. Snow-covered forest, into an exploration, into a ghost quarter. Okay, so this is enough mana to go off. Okay, and that gives us the last bit of mana that we need to be able to activate Memory's Journey if we need to. We will play Agadeem's Awakening. Actually, that doesn't give us the mana that we need, but we're just going to go for it. We came here to jam. We can always play Undercity Informer past the turn. I think that's what we're going to do here. We're going to play Undercity Informer past the turn. Yep, go ahead and kill that. That's fine. We will not use the ability. As long as they don't have a Grafdigger's Cage, we can try to go off here, because I want to be able to keep mana open to be able to Memory's Journey if we need to. Dark Depths, Yavimaya. Okay. So this looks like it's giving us the opportunity to be able to go off here with holding mana up into a Dark Ritual. Okay. So we are going to... the question is do we need the mana from this Dark Ritual for anything? I don't think we do, because we have the mana to be able to Memory's Journey. So yeah, we are just going to go ahead and do the thing here. And if they have to Crop Rot for a Bojuka Bog, that means that they're not making Dark Depths. They're casting Endurance. Okay. So what we need to do here is exile Simian Spirit Guide. We will let this hit the battlefield first, get their ability. We will exile our Jack-o'-lantern. Okay. They are targeting us, yes. Exile our Jack-o'-lantern for green mana. Then we will cast Memory's Journey. Target us. And then I think we need Thassa's Oracle, Lotus Petal, Lotus Petal. We get our Poxwalkers back. Then Endurance will shuffle all this stuff onto the bottom of our... Oh, shit. I'm an idiot. I forgot that puts it all back in our library on the bottom. I'm stupid. I fucked that up. I was thinking it was going away. Okay, well, we're going to see if we can get there with this. I completely screwed that up. What I needed to do was put back one of the spy effects on top to try to go off again next turn. Yeah, that was me 100% punting that. I forgot this is just puts it back into our deck, not exiles it. Oh well, we'll try to bounce back from this. Unfortunately, we know our first couple of draws are useless. They get a Beseiju. If they want to Beseiju this, I'm actually kind of okay with it, because it'll shuffle our library and give us some more looks. It looks like that might be what they're doing. So them Beseijuing us here actually helps us, because it shuffles our library. No, they're going to Life from the Loam back that stuff. Okay. Into a Ghost Quarter. Is that going to let them shuffle? Okay, yeah. This is going to let us shuffle our library. Yes, we'll use this ability. And we have a 4-turn clock. They have a 4-turn clock. I hit a Balustrade Spy, so there's a chance I can try to go for this again. We are going to get in with one of these. Hold one back just in case we need to. That was a massive punt on my part. I was completely forgetting this is shuffled in, not exile it. Okay, they dredged a Mox Diamond, a Life from the Loam, and an Expedition map. Playing out the Beseiju, that's fine. So we know they have a Life from the Loam in hand. If they happen to have a whatchamacallit. Okay, Undercity Informer is good if we hit a land. I think because they're holding back, now we're willing to get in with both. Because if they just want to block here, I'm okay with that. It gets it off of the battlefield, and now we're winning the race. Because this is a 3-turn clock. Okay, that's fine. See if we can pull this back together here. I basically just want to dodge them finding Expedition Map, or... Okay, Urza, they found a Thespian stage. Okay. I think we just lose now that they found the Thespian stage. Yeah, that was a massive punt on my part. It didn't really matter because they shuffled our library anyway, so even if I had done the correct thing and put, like, land, spy, whatever back on top, it wouldn't have mattered because there's the Thespian stage. We don't have enough mana to be able to go off, and they can make this Merit Lage in our end step and kill us. Yeah. Okay. My punt didn't really matter, but yeah, I guess on to the next one. Let's see if we can rally in the back half of this league here. Alright, won the die roll. Let's go. Let's rally in the back half here. I'm almost there. Do I want a mulligan to try to get a turn 1, or do I trust that I find one more mana source and go off turn 2? We also lose our Jack-o'-lantern as something to do. I think we'll mulligan this one. We want to go for turn 1s. This doesn't do anything. Should have kept that 7. Mulligan this. This doesn't do anything. Mulligan that. Go to 4. We keep this. Put back land, reanimate, and hope that our opponent doesn't have wasteland. We will play out the Undercrypt tapped, and hope that we hit some sort of fast mana and our opponent doesn't have any kind of interaction. Blooded Strand from the opponent, okay. Cracks the Strand. Into an island, okay. Into a Ponder, okay. Did not shuffle with the Ponder, okay. This isn't really telling us anything yet. We hit a land. This allows us to try to go off next turn unprotected, but it's probably what we need to do. There's a good chance that they probably have Force of Will. Prismatic Vista, okay. Passing the turn. I would not hate a discard spell. Or even some more mana. Okay, there's another mana, so I can play around a Daze now. So we're just gonna go for it here. Shock ourselves. Play Cabal Ritual. Play a Balustrade Spy. And hope that they're sitting on a Daze and not a Force of Will. Because we know our Reanimate's at the bottom of the deck currently. Alright, so it is a Force of Will, but we have the mana to basically try to pop off with any spy effect. So we'll pass the turn. Just gotta find one of our other 7 spy effects here. And opponent's brainstorming. They pitched a Tameo to that. So I'm guessing this is going to be some kind of hardcore control deck. And do they shuffle is the question. Yes, they are shuffling. Okay. Into another island. This could be High Tide? Either that or it might be some very basic heavy back to basics control deck. This honestly could be a Delver variant of some sort. Okay, into a Tundra. 3 mana, into a Narset. Okay, so it is hardcore control. Got it. Just find me another spy effect and don't find a Force of Will off of this? Into another Narset. Okay. So basically, I just want another spy effect. Elvish Spirit Guide. That's not doing it. Okay. I will say, so far in my playing with this, I think I like the hyper combo version better with Charbelcher and Counter Magic. This gets them Force of Will back. So now I've got to find a way through Force of Will. Luckily, they don't present a very fast clock. Yep, there's Force of Will, which is what they're going to grab off of their Narset. So there is a possibility that our sideboard juke could be effective against them because they're going to take out all of their removal. But now we need a discard spell and a spy effect to try to work through this Force of Will. Into the other Narset, so they're just trying to set their hand up. Into a Ponder, which I'm assuming they're going to play here. Yes, plays the Ponder. Either that or we need like runner spy effects to try to get this first Force of Will out and hope they don't have another one. Okay, that's half of a discard spell. Cycling a Lorien revealed. Is this going to be for like a volcanic island? Yes, so I'm assuming this means they have 4th Aerolingus and they're going to try to go for it here. Just do a small Lingus. Okay, so we know they have 2 forces now. I don't think we're working our way through this, but until they show us a win con, I'm going to just keep going for now. Like, they haven't presented a win con yet. Into a Teferi Time Raveler, okay. So this is just going to be hardcore control. Got it. So I think the creature juke is going to be pretty effective against them. They downtick to Fairy just to draw a card. They're back up to 7 cards in hand. I have another Unmask. So we're going to wait until we have a Spy effect to try to go for it with the Unmask. And hopefully we're not dead before then. And then we'll just see how bad this hand is for us. Just passing the turn. They do have Hardcast Force of Negation. Like, we'll keep going until they present a win con here. Like, I could just hardcast and unmask. What are they doing here? They grabbed a plane, started tapping mana, untapped, and then went back to their turn. Okay. Another Prismatic Vista. Upticking to Fairy. So I'd like to try to get both of these unmasked through in one turn. So I guess we're just going to pass the turn again. Like, we can double pitch cast unmasked to try to work through their counter magic. So we just need a Spy effect to try to make this work. Alright, opponent's still just passing the turn. Like I said, until they show us an actual win con, we'll keep playing this out. Mountain. Hopefully they're just, like, flooding out like crazy over there. And, like, if they have a 4th Aerolingus, there's no point in not playing it because the horses get haste. So we basically just need a Spy effect, and then we can try to go off. We will play the Jack-o'-lantern, just because we kind of need it. And then we'll pass a turn. This is a redraw on their turn, and that will get this into the graveyard. Dress down. Okay. Are they like some weird Stifle Knot deck? Into a Brainstorm. Are they going to shuffle that Brainstorm with their Prismatic Vista? Yes. Okay. Okay, they were just using the Dress Down as a cycle. That's interesting. Downticking to Fairy to draw a card. Interesting that they didn't force the action on the Jack-o'-lantern. Days Undoing. Yeah, we'll scoop it up there. We're not getting back in through a Days Undoing. So they're just hardcore Jeskai control. Okie dokie. We are going to go ahead and bring in our creatures and try to juke them out that way. They're probably going to take out all of their removal. So going full on creature juke should be good. Blank all of their graveyard hate and try to just beat them down with creatures. Try that. Okay, this is a turn 2 Voidwalker, turn 3 Barrogoyf, turn 1 Thoughtseize. We're going to go ahead and keep this. Just casual Lava Axe our face on turn 1 to try to clear the way for something. Like I said, there's a good chance they took all of their removal out. So, play Boggerbog. Bolt ourselves. Thoughtseize our opponent. I know this used to be like a chase art for Thoughtseize, but I've always hated this version of Thoughtseize. Lorwyn Thoughtseize will still always be the best version, in my opinion. So they got a Prismatic Ending, a 4th Aerolingus, Tamiyo, Triumph of St. Catherine. I think we take the Force of Will because it's the only thing they have that realistically answers our creatures. I'm surprised they kept removal in, but maybe they just didn't have enough stuff to take out to take all their removal out. Either that or they were anticipating the juke, potentially. The question just becomes is, do we want to Barrogoyf first or Voidwalker first? I think we're going to go for the Barrogoyf first because they can't Prismatic Ending it if they hit a land. They did shuffle off of that Ponder. Yeah, we are going to shock ourselves again and play Barrogoyf. See if they found a counterspell. That would be a no. Okay, let's see if we can ride this to victory here. We're probably going to Thoughtseize them next turn just to get rid of this Prismatic Ending so that they can't deal with our Barrogoyf. Into a Brainstorm. Okay. So that means they're not Prismatic Ending this anyways. Now, did they keep Swords to Plowshares in the deck? My apologies for getting to round 3 before realizing I forgot to adjust the sidebar there. Hopefully that didn't stop anyone from being able to see what was in the hand. Did they find a land or did they Brainstorm lock themselves? They started paying cost for something. Do they have a Solitude? I feel like that'd be really weird to have in the deck. They're surgicaling their own Force of Wills to shuffle. Ooh. Yeah, they Brainstorm locked themselves. That is an interesting way to try to get a shuffle through. And you do notice they didn't take it, so they just targeted it and then didn't take any of them from their deck. So that was purely to shuffle. A Pox Walkers. We will bolt ourselves for this Thoughtseize. Because we're going to get the life back from Barrogoyf anyways, and I want to make sure that they never get a chance. Ooh, Force of Negation pitching Days Undoing. So they very much care about whatever their removal is. And then we will attack. Get that life and then a little bit back. Fuel our graveyard to potentially grow this Barrogoyf and hopefully find some follow-up threats. Double Rotting Reggie. Okay. We'll take one of them back, and this grows the Goyf to a 5/6. So there's something in their hand that they very much care about. Into a Tamiyo Inquisitive Student. Did they draw a land that they were looking for? Another Surgical. Okay, taking the Roddy from hand, but they're going to see that we have lots of stuff to follow this up. This does shrink the Goyf by 1, but it's still going to be a 4/5 with Death Touch and Lifelink. We'll see if they're willing to give up their Tamiyo. They're getting mana screwed. See if we hit a land or a mana source. We do hit a mana source. We will go ahead and get in, see what they want to do. Are they willing to trade off this Tamiyo already? Yes, they are. And then we're just going to slam another Barrogoyf. Alright, can you deal with 2 Barrogoyfs, opponent? Okay, they finally hit their second land, but they still can't Prismatic Ending either of these. Alright, and they scooped it up. Okay. With that said, I think we're going to do like the 50-50 juke again. And we're going to take out the Rotting Reggies real quick, and probably the Unstoppable Slashers. Bring back in half of the combo. I think we're going to go with Balustrade Spy for this. And split it 50-50 so that they have to think about this. I should take one thing out. Do I take one Narcomoeba out? I do think I take one Narcomoeba out instead of taking out like a Cabal Ritual or something. I think this is a better way to do the 50-50 split here. And let's try that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 mana? I mean, this is a protected turn 1, so we're going to go for it. Island into Grafdigger's Cage. Okay, we don't have the protected turn 1 anymore. So we would like to find a creature. Cabal Therapy. Well, let's play Agadeem's Awakening. Thoughtseize the opponent. We could just run out this Balustrade Spy and start trying to Damping Matrix. What the fuck is this? Activate abilities of artifacts and creatures can't be activated. I think we just take the Tamiyo. And do I want to just run out this Balustrade Spy to start trying to beat down with? It's going to take most of our mana to do it. We could also just Cabal Therapy to take their Ponder as well, and then they're just stuck with this shit. I think that's actually fine here. And then we will just take the Ponder and hope that we draw one of our creatures to start beating down with. Take the Ponder. And then I am going to play out the Lotus Petal just to be safe. I'm not super sure what that's about, unless it's like to try to hedge against Undercity Informer, which we don't even have. This Grafdigger's Cage is annoying because we don't actually have a way to remove it. 2 mana. What are they doing? They were doing something. It said paying costs. I wonder if they have a Murktide region or something. A Barrogoyf for another one of those creatures would be fantastic. We could also just start going for... Yeah, I think we are going to go ahead and just play this Balustrade Spy as a beater. And we will target them with it. We'll just mill some of your shit. Hopefully that wasn't a Murktide region they were trying to pay for. Containment Priest, okay. And we have the mana to be able to start trying to go off, or cast one of our 3-drop creatures. And we'll just hope that they don't draw anything in 10 turns to be able to remove this. We can't do anything, so we'll have 6 through the turn. Okay, so they can Teferi bounce the Balustrade Spy. That is annoying. Okay, draw like a Barrogoyf? A Fell the Profane. Well, we will play that. Shock ourselves. And we will replay our Balustrade Spy, I guess. Yeah, you can definitely tell that, like, the entire meta is aiming for these graveyard decks. So you're running into a absolute shit ton of hate for them. Also, like, the data shows that this deck doesn't have an unreasonable win rate. Yes, it is absolutely miserable to play against. Honestly, it's not super fun to play with either, but I don't think the deck is honestly problematic. Yes, it's annoying, but it's... Okay, and they have a Swords to Plowshares. Okay, we're probably just straight up out of this now, but we'll keep playing until they actually show us a clock. Like, there is a world where we just can draw our creatures and beat down this Teferi. Like, if we hit a Dauthi Voidwalker, then we can just play it Swing at the Teferi if they don't have another removal spell. Elvish Spirit Guide. Okay, that doesn't do anything. But yeah, like overall, as much as people hate this deck, like it's not unreasonable win rate wise. There's tons of ways to be able to interact with it. I really do think all the people that are like, we need to ban this deck out of the format entirely, I really do think it is not called for at all. Oh, there's a Dothi Voidwalker. See if you have an answer for that. Do they have another Source of Plowshares? They do. Okay. So they did bring all of their removal back in to deal with our creatures. That's the turn. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just completely uncalled for. Like, yeah, it's not really a fun play experience if I'm being completely honest. Like I said, playing with or against this deck really isn't fun, but I really hate bannings for the sake of play pattern, like, or for the sake of fun, I would say, unless it is a truly problematic play experience. I will just play out the Bog as a land. Like, I thought about playing as a creature there, but they'll just bounce it with Teferi anyways, and then I'm down my Elvish Spirit Guide. Like, there's not really a huge point for doing that. And this allows me to continually try to play 3-drops. And as you can see, it's very beatable, it's very interactable. If this deck does become a problem, I would say the best way to be able to handle it would honestly be to probably ban Memory's Journey, just so it doesn't have some of the resiliency. Either that or potentially ban Pact of Negation, because that's... I really do think that in this deck in particular, Pact of Negation is better than the discard spells. Simian Spirit Guide, can't cast that. We will yield through the turn. Opponent did not crack their clue. Like, the only reason I'm not scooping it here is they've only got 2 cards in hand. Granted, they can flip Tamiyo this turn and do their thing. So, I mean, we'll, like, try drawing 1 or 2 more cards, and then we're probably going to scoop it up. Like, this one's over with. Unfortunately, they had the Graph Figures Cage, and this version of the deck literally has no way to deal with that. Otherwise, we would have had a protected turn 1. But it is what it is. They also cracked a Flooded Strand, got a land. What is this for 5 mana? Hardcast Alluring Reveal to flip the Tamiyo. Okay. Yeah, we'll probably give this 1 more draw and then just call it there. Hit a Fell the Profane. So, like, I could kill one of these Planeswalkers. Is that worth it? Let's try to kill... Oh, whoops. I pressed the wrong thing anyways. No, okay. We'll give it 1 more draw. Then we're probably just going to scoop it up. Like I said, I really think all of the calls to get this deck, like, nuked from the format are completely uncalled for, but I know I'm in the minority, and I'm playing this specifically just to prove my point that this is honestly not a problematic deck. Like, yeah, I've seen some other content creators, like, just blaze through a league and get a trophy with it, but, like, you can do that with any combo deck, and a single league is not a good enough data point. And, like, everyone's going to tell me, like, oh, 1 league isn't enough data to show. Like, I understand that, and I would... Okay, they're showing us a win con. We will scoop it up. But as I was saying, like, a single data point, yes, that is not enough to be able to form a trend, but between the data that has been given to us as far as top 8s, win percentages, conversion rate, all that kind of stuff, and then my personal experience jamming this deck over the course of multiple leagues and outside of leagues and everything, like, I just do not think this deck is honestly a problem as far as the meta is concerned. Yes, the play pattern is miserable from both sides of the table, but again, I hate banning decks for play patterns. Like, the fun argument is wholly subjective, and I think it is a terrible ban argument. The only time I would advocate for a ban for play experience is if it causes logistical issues the way that Top does, or the way Nadu did in Modern, and I was afraid it was going to do in Legacy. But anyways, let's see if we can get at least half of our play points back in the back half of this league. Okay, won the die roll into round number 4. So this is a turn 1 if we just go for it. I mean, fuck it, we're doing it. In theory, we can work up to Dread turning back this Balustrade Spy over the course of a couple of turns, but we're going to try to jam turn 1, see where this goes. Like, this deck is... It's a force check deck. It is what it is. Alright, opponent mulligan to 6. We're going to start off on Agadeem's Awakening. Like, it really doesn't matter which land it is. There's probably some amount of thought that needs to go into this. It looks like they're F6'd, though. We are going to need to Cabal Therapy ourselves here as well. But we are going to Cabal Therapy our opponent first, and then Cabal Therapy us. However, this is... Okay, they just scooped it up. We didn't even need to go through it. Okay. Well, on to the sideboard. So, seeing as our opponent didn't show us anything, I think we just run it back, and if this goes to a game 3, we do the juke. We could also completely try to mess with them and go for the juke right off of the bat so that they board out all their removal and all that kind of shit. Which, I mean, isn't that the point of a transformative sideboard? Like, we will juke back if we need to, but they are going to bring in all of their graveyard hate. We are going to pull the full juke into game 2, specifically because I truly believe they are going to just bring in everything to hate on the graveyard, and it's going to be shut off anyways. So I think we're going to pull the full juke, hope that they don't have any kind of removal or anything, and we're not up against an opposing combo deck where we just need to go super fast. And if we go to a game 3, we go to a game 3. So let's do the juke and see how it works out. Alright, what do we got? Oh, we got a turn 1 Barrowglyph into a turn 2 Dauthi Voidwalker, and we've got an Unmask, so I think we're going to keep this. Opponent kept on 7. White into Deafening Silence. Okay. So we're not going to turn 1 Barrowglyph. Understood. What we can do, we can turn 2 Barrowglyph. We will play that. We're going to Unmask to see what our opponent's doing over there. Moto is lagging hard today. I might need to restart this. Okay, so we've got an Ajani, a Damping Sphere. That's completely irrelevant. So we take the Ajani, but they're probably just gonna go ahead and play Wasteland and get rid of our land, which is a little annoying, but if we hit another form of fast mana... Actually, shit, I forgot this is only non-creature. We actually could Ritual out a Barrowglyph, which is probably what we're gonna do next turn. Oh, they just played the Scrubland. Okay. Okay, into a Thoughtseize. So you can either take my land, my Barrowglyph, or my Dauthi Voidwalker. All of which are honestly fine. Because if they take the Barrowglyph, we'll just play the Voidwalker. If they take the Voidwalker, we'll just play the Barrowglyph. If they take the land, we'll just play the Barrowglyph. So no matter what happens, we're getting a creature down. Okay, they took the Barrowglyph. That's fine. We'll just play the Dauthi Voidwalker. Unless I draw another creature. No. Okay. So, yeah, we will play that, shock ourselves, and play Dauthi Voidwalker. And we have enough mana to cast any creature we draw. So another Barrowglyph would be nice. There's Marsh Flats. Into Damping Sphere. I do not care about that whatsoever. They still have this Wasteland, which is a little annoying, but not the end of the world. Agadine the Undercrypt. We would need to get to 6 mana. We're at 4, but I think we're better off just playing this. Because they're probably going to Wasteland us anyways. Alright, they're cracking their fetch. Does that mean that they have a removal spell? No, they're getting a Shadowy Backstreet. That's fine. And they've been to Thoughtseize. Okay. So they have a Wasteland and an Unknown. We just hit with the Dauthi Voidwalker. They very well may have just gotten rid of all of their removal spells. Played a Marsh Flats. Okay. They're almost a Solitude mana here. I'd like to just draw a creature to be able to play, honestly. Any creature would be good here. Ball Ritual, that still doesn't do anything. Okay. Surgical Extraction on Barrowglyph. Okay. I can actually play a Simian Spirit Guide, and honestly, I'm probably going to, just for the sake of getting another body on the battlefield, to turn this from a 5-turn clock into a 3-turn. So we know the last card in hand is a Wasteland. They're going to fetch with the Marsh Flats. Do they have another Surveil land? No, just grabbing a land. Okay, well, we're just going to cast this then. Just get another body on board. Wait, hold on. Okay, it was just lagging for a second. I don't know what was going on there. I'm like, why is it not letting me cast this? I might need to restart the client after this match. But get it with the Voidwalker. They're basically playing off the top of their deck right now. They're going to Cling to Dust to draw a card. Okay. So still Wasteland and Unknown. 3 mana. 4 and a Johnny. Okay. So that's annoying in the sense... Okay, there's their Wasteland, so we can just dismiss all of this. That is annoying in the sense that I can't attack with the Spirit Guide anymore, and this turns back into a 4-turn clock instead of a 2-turn clock, but we'll see what happens here. A Lotus Petal. Okay, well, we can play that out. They don't have a way to flip this Ajani, and even if they did, it's not able to use the like damage us directly mode or kill our Dothy Voidwalker directly. And now they are at the mercy of the top of their deck. And there's a good chance they took all of their removal out because they knew that we had no creatures in our deck that mattered. There's a Thoughtseize. Yeah, we'll just Thoughtseize. I mean, we're not doing anything else. Let's see what their card is. Okay, it's just a swamp. 2 damage to ourselves for no reason. Begin combat. Get in with the Dothy Voidwalker. Basically just have to avoid 2 more top decks. Play in the swamp. I'm a little scared of a Solitude. That would very much screw up our plans. Still not getting it with anything. Okay. Another Thoughtseize. Well, let's force the action. Cabal Therapy. Okay, I guess we take that. So we have to dodge 1 top deck? Alright, just gotta dodge whatever their top deck is and we get a match win. Alright, well they didn't scoop it up, so this could be a Solitude to get rid of our Dothy Voidwalker. We hit another Simian Spirit Guide, so let's get in. See if they got it. Swords, 2 Plowshares. Okay. And we will just play a Spirit Guide. They can block to survive another turn. So, again, we're at a position where we need to dodge 2 top decks. They hit a Wasteland. And they do have to block both of these. A Dothy Voidwalker off the top does get us there. Because we can Dark Ritual, and then we can pay 3 for the Dothy Voidwalker. Unstoppable Slasher. Okay, that doesn't do anything, so we can get in. If we still had that other land, we'd be able to. But they have to block both of these, lose their board, and then again, we just have to dodge a top deck. So they did keep some of their removal in the deck. It might have been they just didn't have enough other stuff to take out. And they scoop it up. Okay, got a win on the board. On to the final round. Alright, final round. Won the die roll. Let's see if we can get half of our play points back today. Bunch of mana, nothing to do with it. So, unfortunately, we gotta ship this one. This isn't protected, but it's a very good hand. Or is this? No, this is 4 mana on turn 1, 5 mana on turn 2. So we will go ahead and keep this. So I think we put back the Cabal Therapy. And then do we just go for a turn 2, or do we Thoughtseize on 1, see what our opponent's doing, and make decisions from there? We could also put back a land. Thoughtseize on turn 1, go for a turn 2, hope that we hit a land to be able to Cabal Therapy? Not really sure what the best option here is. Or, actually, I'm doing my math wrong. No, I only have 4 mana on turn 1, never mind. I think we're going to put Cabal Therapy back. And I think we're going to go ahead and Thoughtseize on 1. And try to go for it on turn 2. Okay, well, luckily we still theoretically have the ability to go for it on turn 2. We could have gotten there if we did it turn 1. But we're going to take the days and hope that they can't find counter magic. Because they're probably just going to go ahead and Wasteland this on turn 1. But if they Wastelanded on turn 1, they would have had to naturally draw a Force of Will. This also doesn't tell us if this is going to be Tempo or if this is Reanimator. Alright, they're starting out with a Scalding Tarn, so they might be trying to brainstorm to find an answer here. Or they did just naturally draw a Force of Will here. Alright, they're passing the turn, so they're not brainstorming yet, and they didn't want to play Tamiyo, so that makes me think they either found Force of Will, or, hear me out, we just unmask them, and then we go for it. I think I like that option, because this is still 4 mana. Okay, so it's Reanimator. Got it. So Archon, Brainstorm, Tamiyo. We take the Brainstorm. We now know that this is Reanimator. Take the Brainstorm. Play Petal. Dark Ritual. And Balustrade Spy. Win the game. I feel it's appropriate to start out and close the league on the most miserable possible matchup at all between the 2 most miserable decks there are. Alright, so I think because we know they're on Reanimator, we want to bring in, at the very least, the Voidwalkers. I'm just debating if I want any of the other creatures as well. We definitely want Voidwalkers to be able to mess with their graveyard, but I think we still want the combo in the deck. So the question just becomes, is what do we take out here? They could have Leyline of the Void, but I feel like a lot of these decks are playing a lot more Fairy Macabres and stuff like that. Because there's something to be said about taking out the, like, Jack-o'-lantern Memories Journey combo. Or we could just cut down some number of spy effects for the Void Walkers. But if we're cutting the Enforcers, like, the Void Walkers are our only big threat, really. I think we're going to bring the Goyson as well. Kind of do the 50-50 split that I talked about before. Take out some number of Undercity Informers, take out Memories Journey, take out Jack-o'-lantern, and take out one Narcomoeba. And then we have their graveyard covered, some number of aggressive threats if they shut off our graveyard, but we still have the ability to go off with our graveyard if we need to. So let's try this and see if we can redeem ourselves against Dimir Reanimator. If this had a land, this would be perfect. The question is do we trust to find a black source? I don't think we can. I think we gotta ship it. I actually like this quite a bit. We're going to keep this. We actually could unmask our opponent, reanimate a big fatty from their hand, or slam a Dauthi Voidwalker. I have a feeling we're going to get discarded on turn 1, though. Polluted Delta cracks it instantly. Like, there is a very good chance that we could just get discarded on turn 1. No, okay. Nile's Spellbomb. Okay. So, depending on what we draw here... We hit a Dread Return. That's a pretty safe pitch to unmask. However, it means that our graveyard is fully shut off. We also could force them to pop their own Spellbomb. Or if we play Voidwalker first, then it goes into the Void. But if they have a counterspell for our Voidwalker, that sucks. I think we're going to go ahead and get rid of our unmask. I want to keep the mana around if we can. Like, this is a really interesting line to go with, because they always could exile their own graveyard depending on how this goes. Alright, they just have a bajillion deforces and an entomb, but they don't have any kind of reanimate effect. So, do I want to blow all of my mana to play this Voidwalker is the question. It will strip them of quite a bit. Or we can take the Ponder. I think we're going to take the Ponder. The triple force is kind of annoying, but not the end of the world. See if we can get our Voidwalker down. We're probably not going to. The other thing we could do here is force all of the action at once. Because they could force this, then we could try to reanimate it, force them to pop their Spellbomb, and then they literally just have a force and an entomb in hand and nothing to do with any of it. Alright, they are going to force pitching force. And then, I mean, we're going to go for it. Force the action. Like, get them down to an Entomb and a Force of Will and nothing to do with any of it. Okay. And now we just got to hope that we draw better than our opponent does. Like, I will fully admit that these play patterns are miserable, but they're not problematic per se, as I've said before. Alright, well, opponent just passed a turn. We will play a Lotus Petal. And we will see who draws better. Unfortunately, my one and only reanimate is gone. Into a Tamiyo, okay. That is a problem we'll have to deal with. We will play the land. I do like that we have this Thoughtseize to try to force something through here if we find it. Get a clue, but they didn't hit a land, or they're just playing a second main phase. No, okay. A Fell the Profane. We will play this out. Like, we're hitting our lands, which is good, because that's going to allow us to actually cast our creatures to hopefully get back in this before our opponent finds any lands to do anything with. Opponent was doing something. Tapped mana there, then untapped and went to combat. So I'm assuming that means they might have a Brainstorm? Yes, so they're going to flip the Tamiyo, so that is a problem we have to deal with. I'm assuming that means they're also probably going to have a blue card to go with this Force of Will now. And next turn, they can buy back another Force of Will. So we're back into this, like, we kind of blew our load, and our opponent was able to check it the first time around. Pass the turn. Thassa's Oracle. That doesn't do anything. If we can't do anything before this Tamiyo is able to ultimate, we'll scoop up, go to game 3. They're entombing an upkeep. So they didn't like whatever they put on top with the Brainstorm. Upticking Tamiyo, okay. Unfortunately, the Atrax is already in the yard, so Dauthi Voidwalker doesn't really do a ton here. We are going to go ahead and Thoughtseize. Like, the Voidwalker is able to keep the Tamiyo in check, but it doesn't progress our board state at all. Alright, they're going to force this. Hitching a Consign to Memory, okay. Do you have a Daze to go along with this? Or another Force blue card? They do have the days. We're gonna scoop this up because we have no way to deal with this, and we have no one draw that gets us out of this. So we're gonna go to the next one. Like again, this is showing that like this the deck I'm playing against, Dimir Reanimator, is a tempo deck. It is not a combo deck, and it's showing off just how good the tempo side of the deck is. Alright, so what do we want to do? Do we just want to run it back? Do we want to increase our threat ratio? I think we want to increase our threats here. But the question becomes is what do we want to take out? Like, it feels weird taking out Cabal rituals, but they're probably our worst ritual. Yeah, let's just try something like that. We'll play a little slower, try to have some more threats, but still have the option of being able to combo. So, let's try that. Alright, final game, final round. There's a Thoughtseize, there's some stuff here, but like having the Dread Return in hand is wonky. I think we gotta mulligan this for more mana. Okay, so this is a turn 1 Rotting Regisaur. I think we're gonna keep this. Put the Dread Return back for now. They kept on 7. We are going to play Fel the Profane. Shock ourselves a little bit here. Try to Dark Ritual. And then we're just gonna go ahead and Rotting Reggie here. Try to beat them down before they can do anything. Okay, they got a Force of Will pitching a Tamiya. Okay. I mean, we still got 2 more threats and a Thoughtseize to try to work our way through whatever they got going on over there, as long as they don't have a Wasteland to kill our only mana source. Okay, Misty Rainforest, that's fine. Thoughtseize? No, they reanimated my Rotting Regisaur. Okay. Boggart Trawler. Okay, well, we'll play that. I'm 1 mana away from being able to get another Rotting Regisaur down to be able to mess with this. They also have to start discarding cards to keep this around. Of course they had an Atraxa in hand. Do they have another Reanimate? Alright, take 7. I got 2 draw steps to find a way out of this. That is a Lotus Petal. I could play another Rotting Regisaur to block this thing. But am I better off trying to set up to be able to go off? I could Thoughtseize them now to see what's going on over there. I think that's my best bet. It doesn't change the math at all. Because I'll go to 1 off of this. I can see their hand, see if I even have a possibility of getting this down. Entomb, Dauthi Voidwalker, Consign to Memory. Well, we take the Force of Will and hope we hit a land. They chuck the Entomb, okay. Okay, they're going to Ponder, so if they don't hit a land to hold up this Consign to Memory, if I hit a mana source that I don't have to shock into play. Okay, they hit a land, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to play Rotting Reggie. And then I got to figure out how to deal with this Dauthi Voidwalker. I think we're dead here, because unfortunately... Okay, so... I can get rid of your Dauthi Voidwalker, play my own Rotting Regisaur, and then we're both kind of just in the shitter. Take the Dauthi. They have a Consign to Memory. We will play this. And now we're both kind of just in the shitter. Unless they find a Reanimate or they find a way to kill my Rotting Regisaur. Cracks the fetch. I'm assuming they're getting a Surveil land. Bin to Delta. We're both kind of just at the mercy of the top of our deck. There goes their Consign to Memory. So we're both just at the mercy of the top of our deck currently. But they have cantrips and I don't. Oh, they top decked a Reanimate. Okay, yeah, that's the league right there. Okay, I've kind of shared some of my thoughts as we've been going through this, but yeah, I'll address it all in the wrap up. Okay, so let me preface this wrap up here by saying, yes, this deck is miserable. I do not enjoy playing with it or playing against it. But with that bias aside, I think this league did do a pretty good job of showing the deck can be interacted with. So, despite all the calls that this thing needs to be banned, between actual gameplay with it and the data that Wizards has supplied in terms of win rate not being problematic, and some of the data we're seeing coming in since the BNR of people trying to jam this deck to the point where Wizards will ban it, and just not converting that play rate into the win rates that are problematic, I do not think that Oops All Spells is a problem to the health of the Legacy format as a whole. Yes, it is a bad play experience. and I personally would not be sad to see it go, but I hate seeing decks banned purely for fun reasons, as fun is a wholly subjective measure, and I will feel bad for the people that do genuinely enjoy playing this deck, having it removed from the format for subjective reasons instead of objective. With that out of the way, my comments on this particular build of the deck. I will say the discard is not as good as Pact of Negation from my experience in the last version of this deck that I played. And having the Goblin Charbelcher secondary plan is much more powerful than having the creature secondary plan that this deck does. So with that being said, if you do want to play Oops, I highly recommend playing the versions with Charbelcher. I think they are just much better than trying to go for a creature beatdown route, because even with the deck having a ton of fast mana, the mana is still extremely fragile in this deck, and all of your threats that are realistically going to close out the game are 3 mana. Daughty Voidwalker and Unstoppable Slasher can, but they're both really small creatures that are super easy to deal with for most of the top decks in the format. So you're really relying on Barrowglyph and Rotting Regisaur, and sometimes getting to 3 mana or getting to 3 mana multiple times is a bit rough for this deck. We did also see this deck does just lose to itself. There were a few times where you just mulligan into Oblivion because you don't get what you need. And because this deck doesn't have any sort of card advantage whatsoever, you're just at the mercy of the top of your deck hoping you can rebuild while your opponent is still building up their resources and progressing their game plan, while you're pretty much just sitting there doing absolutely nothing, trying to rebuild and hope to be able to go off again, and that they somehow don't have interaction for your next attempt at the combo. So honestly, yes, I will say this really wasn't that enjoyable of a league, but I wanted to play it for science to try to prove my point. Yes, I know a single league is not enough data, but I am compiling this from my own play experience, both in and out of leagues, playing with and against this deck, the data that's publicly available for this deck, between what WotC has told us and what all of the great community members who are doing data compilation projects out there are showing us. So, in the end, personally, I cannot recommend this deck just because I truly do not enjoy it, but hopefully I put up a good show playing with it. Hopefully you got some laughs out of some of my puns with some of these lines, because some of them are a little wonky, especially once you start getting Memory's Journey into the mix as well. But anyways, I hope you had as much fun watching. Well, I hope you had more fun watching than I did playing. I will catch you all in the next video. And as always, stay salty. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you like what you saw. If you did, do me a favor, hit that like and sub button below. There are free ways to support the channel. And drop a comment, let me know what you like. Any kind of feedback you got, your opinions on my gameplay, the decks that I play, any of that kind of stuff. If you really like what you see, go ahead and drop by the Patreon. Become a patron, get to read some of my tournament reports and some stuff going on outside of just Magic in my life that I'm going to start putting over there as kind of my own personal blog. Also, you can do donation deck lists over there, just the price of a league if you have a specific deck you want to see, or you have an idea you want me to brew around, something like that, go ahead and do that. Nothing is required. It's always appreciated, though. Any donations go directly back into the channel, covering stuff such as leagues for donation decks or the rental program that I'm a part of. I am a small-time YouTuber. I'm doing this for fun. I really hope you all like what you saw. I truly appreciate you all stopping by. I will catch you all in the next video, and as always, stay salty.